Tell me about where you're at with dropshipping as a whole right now.
Okay, so currently I've been dropshipping for 3 years. It was my 3 month anniversary last month in September. And I'm completely self-taught, came across dropshipping through a friend. Um, and it was really funny. I was kind of dabbling in like different business. I was in network marketing for a while. And unfortunately, I actually lost a friend really close to me. So I kind of stopped working on my network marketing business, just was working in hospitality, which I've done most of my life. And I was just kind of plodding along and having some time for myself. And one of my friends approached me and was like, "Look, I know that you're not really doing much with your network marketing at the moment, but I've heard of this like really cool thing called drop shipping." Now, I'm very grateful that I'm a very open-minded person because I kind of just said, "Can I work online from anywhere in the world?" Because that was a reason why I was doing network marketing. I said, "Can I earn money based on my own performance?" Because that was really important to me. And I said, "Do I have to talk to anyone?" Because for my network marketing, I had to use social media, sell products, help
Yeah.
people set up business, and I just wasn't in the mindset to go into something that was similar to that.
Mm.
And she was like, "Work anywhere in the world, earn money based on your performance, and no, you don't talk to anyone." And I just went, "Cool, as long as it's all ethical and everything, let's just do it."
Sign
And
me
I'm
up.
so grateful that, yeah, exactly. I'm so grateful that I think like that as a person because I feel like a lot of people do think like that, but they maybe don't have the confidence or the correct information, or they're maybe not recommended by the person they kind of want to be like. So I'm really grateful that I kind of came in with that approach because I think there's a little bit of delusion and there's a bit of ego mixed together. Like I've got a lot of self-confidence, and I think sometimes that can carry you forward, even when you are unsure of what it is, how to get
Yeah.
involved, trial and error, and things like that. But yeah, you could definitely say I've been through the peaks and the troughs when it comes to eBay dropshipping. Um, I've learned loads and I learned a hell of a lot more since I started using Sale Freaks and working with Michael. But I currently have a limited company. So that's company got set up in February. So that was great. Currently operating 10 stores and really taking a different business approach now towards dropshipping in a slightly sometimes I find eBay to be a little bit chaotic in how it operates in regards to MC011,
Yep.
sometimes payment holds and things like that. And I think, there's pros and cons to every type of business model. And the pros for this is low startup cost. You can move at your own pace. So, success looks different to everybody. So you can grow a huge, massive, limited company, or you could be just a little guy plodding along, making a couple of hundred extra pounds a month, and whatever speaks
Yeah.
to your heart. Um, you never own any of the products, so you're not investing a lot, which is great. You know it all anyway, but I just think people like I sell currently about 10,000 products, and people are like, "That's mad." And I'm like, "Yeah, but I don't buy anything. I
Hmm.
don't have the risk having loads of rubbish products and stuff lying around." So those are kind of the pros of getting involved in like eBay dropshipping. But then the negatives are you don't actually own your own website, you don't actually own the selling platform that you're
Yeah.
on. You could be you're operating at typically smaller margins, and so there's slightly less control. But you
Hmm.
know what? You've got to pick your poison. You've got to pick
Yeah.
what you want. And I think I say this to everybody, even if you don't stay in dropshipping for the rest of your life, it's a fantastic opportunity to get involved in e-commerce business, passive and residual income, working from anywhere in the world. It's a great way to kind of dip your toe into water because it will teach you not only all the skills, but it will teach you how to earn money in a
Mm.
completely different way that you've never earned money before. And that then amasses to so many other things if you don't want to stick around. So I think people really underestimate. And I know, like, I'm a coach myself, I've got clients, and that I know always seems to really like do a little light bulb moment in people's head when I'm talking about my coaching program. It's like, if you trade an hour for a certain salary, you have to be there, you have to keep working. Whereas if you can suddenly offer a product or service and then sell the product or service whilst you're asleep, whilst you're at your current day job, whilst you're looking after the kids, doing whatever, even you could be watching Netflix, just chilling on the sofa. When you start to earn money that way, I feel like it changes your life.
Mm.
Now, don't get me wrong. Sometimes I envy the nine to fivers and the corporate. lot of people who are just happy as Larry, going, Monday to Friday,
Yeah.
party for the weekend. Because sometimes I think, God, this entrepreneurial spirit of mine really, really touched you. But nothing is easy, and I think social media loves to like over glamorize everything. It takes hard work, consistency, and dedication to do anything, but definitely in regards to dropshipping. So something I'd like to advise people when they go to dropshipping is like, what is the bigger picture here? Like, what what are you wanting to actually achieve for the long run? Because too many people just think, okay, I'm going to start dropshipping and then I'm going to earn £500 a month. And it's like, okay, how long is it going to take you to get there? Do you have a coach, or are you going to trial and error it yourself? Because we all know the value of coaches. I didn't have any sort of advice until I met Michael, which was nearly 2 years into my business.
Right.
And I'm going to say I wasted about 10 grand over those 2 years because I built scale. Like
Right.
I got up to 30,000 products by the time I'd met Michael across like 12 stores. And I have not worked with anyone but myself. Like just big dream, big goals, hard working. I come from a single parent household. Not too much struggle. I know my own privilege, but I don't have anyone to fall back on financially. So when I was churning, like my biggest month, I've done 46 grand in sales, and it's just me. Do you know what I mean? Managing
Yeah, yeah,
all the
yeah.
accountancy, the finance, the products, and at that point as well, I was doing all the customer service, everything. So and I was working full time, madman.
Oh
So
my word.
obviously COVID did help. COVID allowed me to develop the skills, but I've always just had really, really big goals in regards to when I get a grasp of something, I go, okay, like how can I make this like £1 million business?
Yeah.
That's like how I think, right? Big dreamer. I romanticize
I
everything.
think that's key because, as you were saying, like when you start, it can change your life. When
Yeah,
you start and you make like £100 a month, that can change your life in some
yeah,
ways, but it's not like this big, oh my goodness moment.
yeah,
But
yeah,
the capability to do that, and then to be able to see that,
yeah.
yeah, I can scale this further. That like opportunity is what is the kind of life changing part of it, not
Yeah.
necessarily the £100. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I love that when I coach people because I get new clients and they don't want to come across too like confident or cocky or whatever, or they don't really know what it is that they're doing, but they've got the idea and they trust me and I always say only listen to people who are in a position that you want to be in. And
Yeah.
that could only be like a certain aspect of who they are, their character, their personality. So, and that applies to so many things. Like, if you want to be more confident, surround yourself with confident people, spend more time with them, you'll naturally become more confident. You want to be like more experienced in the gym, hire a PT or, approach the girl, the guy, or whoever in the gym and ask, like, oh, what program do you follow? Who do you like? Could I train with you?
Yeah.
What, like, success leaves clues and a trail everywhere. And I think even if you don't really want to be like me in a certain way, because I'm really extroverted and out there, but you do want to know how to make money from dropshipping, it's like just associate yourself with
Mm.
that person and tell them why you want to do it. And most of the time, people love just that you're complimenting them through the idea of like, I want to be like you, even
Yeah.
if it's in just like a small place. And I think, yeah, like we are the products of our environment. So if people don't try to branch out to different people who know different things in new ways, I think you're always just going to feel like a little bit stuck because I love when my clients come to me at the beginning, like, and go, oh, I only want to earn like a couple of £100, and they go like this, like as if they're like, oh, I don't really want to push it too far. And then as soon as they make a couple of £100, they're like, okay, I want to make 1,000. We're all greedy. We're like, as soon as you understand the process, it's just a compound effect, right? And that's what I say to all of my clients, like, I'm no different to you. I've just stuck around longer. That
Mm.
is all I say. Like, I have just never quit, never given up, and I've just kept going because
Mm.
I do every day what you do, just on a bigger scale.
Yeah.
And that's it. Because dropshipping, once you've got the like first couple of steps, your customer service, your product research, things like that, it's really not that complicated.
Yeah. Exactly.
I actually say to new starters, you do more work than me.
Mm.
I've got days now. I use Zik Analytics, Autopilot for a lot of my research. Sale Freaks obviously has the auto lister, which is great. You're just checking that things are cracking on. Do you know what I mean? And I think, God, I used to do 2 hours worth of customer service like a year and a half ago, which is mad. I've had the luxury of having more money, and again, social media over glamorize it. It's never been easy, trying to pull myself into the whole freelance life. I went part-time the beginning of this year. I went freelance for the summer. And you know what? It didn't work out. I've gone back to work now. I've gone back to hospitality, kind of like 30 hours a week. One, because I can, because the business only takes about 30 minutes a day, which is great.
Right.
But ultimately, because I've realized that in any type of business, there's fluctuations.
Yeah.
And summer is actually the quietest time for dropshipping. So for me to go freelance in summer, a little bit of a like misjudgment. But I also said when I turn 30, I'm going to go freelance. I'm going to see if I can make it work. So I'm really glad that I stuck to that. But now, hint like quarter 4, like this is the perfect time to start dropshipping. And like I can even see it in my stores that I'm not even doing anything different, and they're all just climbing up really nicely, looking sexy, great. Like it's all heading that way, and I really love that. So if people are like wondering about dropshipping or sale freaks and things like that, now is the perfect time to get in touch with sale freaks, Michael, myself, you, whoever, anyone who does it, and just crack on and just give it a go, because it could literally pay for your Christmas. Like even if it pays for that, do you know what I mean? Like win-win for everyone.
You always hear like when anyone's advertising anything, now's the time to start. But like, look at the calendar.
Yeah.
It really is.
It is really the time to start. Yeah, exactly. I think like when you start in the summer, and you know what, just from a business perspective, like I've got clients saying, okay, it's gonna be really good for Christmas, but then what about January? And you know what, as a coach, you obviously take different approaches. So I always say you're only gonna really see like fluctuations in sales if your business stays the same size.
Right.
So if you're going to keep business the same size over each of the like seasons, so if you go into summer, yes, it is going to be quieter. But if you push to grow your stores, which could be a recommendation, some people say just reduce it, reduce your costs, reduce your expenses, plod along, and actually become more profitable. But I always think, why are we waiting around? Like open more stores, get them growing. Everything takes time. So just be really, really punchy with it. So I'm going to show off here because when I actually met Michael, which was through Instagram, I actually had more stores than him when we met, even though he was like 3 times bigger than me, and like, great coach, amazing guy. I call him the king of eBay dropshipping, absolutely. But even he complimented me and said, don't know how you've got to this size, don't know how you've got this many stores. Gone on this long, and I was like, I told you, delusion and ego, right? Self-confidence will always push me through. But ultimately, he's even complimented me and said, it's reminded me that I should keep growing. Like, even though I'm at a really successful place, why should I not keep opening more stores, keep adding more products? Because when you're at, with the experience that we have, it's like, yeah, get the VAs to run the customer service, use the VAs to find products, use Zik Analytics, like everything's just like, as I say, a compound effect, clockwork, just keep doing it. And I know that I'm that big dreamer, but I just say to people, like, you could start today only wanting to make a couple £100. Like, it's literally changed my life to the point, not just financially, just like what I want for my life. So for my life, I think you hear people becoming millionaires or getting like 100K followers in days or weeks or whatever. It's just mainly never going to happen for most people. But what I believe is not too far for most people is if you earn, £2,000 to £4,000 a month, you could live a really nice, comfortable life. You can live in a nice apartment, you could have a nice car, you can go on holiday, and you can have savings. It's not a lot of money when you look at dropshipping, like when you actually look at the results. And even if it takes you 5 years, which is a really long time, I'm only just over halfway through, even if it takes you that long to get to that place for the rest of your life, why would you not even try, crack on, fail loads? Because that's all success is, failing more than everybody else. And I think for my lifestyle now, it's like, I can just take a month off work if I really wanted to. I can take a week off work if I want to. I can book a flight to go somewhere. And again, not over glamorizing it. It's just the reality. To be honest, it's successful people have just failed more than other people. They've just constantly failed forward and never given up. And I think now I've realized that I don't need a crazy amount of money to live the lifestyle that I want. I just want, which is personal to me, freedom and choice. I want to be able to wake up every day and decide what I want to do. And I think isn't for me, I don't know, everyone's different, but I think isn't that what everyone wants? Like, do you know what I mean?
Pretty
Like,
much.
but I think we're told like the fancy car, the more the house, the holidays, the jewelry, the watches, the bags. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I think it's so cool if that's your jam, like if that's what you want, amazing. But for me, I'm like, I feel like everyone would just be happier if
I
they
feel
didn't
like
feel
everyone probably
what.
does want this. I think it's probably quite a
Yeah,
human thing to want this, but I don't think they all think it's possible. I think that is probably
yeah,
the
it's like that
differentiator.
belief, isn't it? Yeah, and I just, I wasn't. I qualified as a primary school teacher in university. I then was in hospitality management for years, and when I decided to come out of management and just become a waiter to focus on my previous e-commerce business, I was like, okay, this is the first step. I was working 50, 60 hours a week. Now I'm working like 30
Hmm.
and I'm in the business. So, okay, that's the first step. Now it's built it to the point where beginning of this year I went part-time, so I was working like 15, 20 hours max. And then the summer, I think I worked like, probably 2 weeks worth of work in nearly 3 months. And, even though I've gone back to work now, I just think, wow, that was great. And it was weird. It was really weird, but
Hmm.
it was great. And, even things like being able to afford to have a cleaner. Like we have a cleaner. And I'm just like, who do we think we are? But we have a cleaner because I would rather, actually, even if you're still working, I would rather work an extra hour or two per week to pay for a cleaner to clean my whole house, right? That's just how I
Hmm.
think because, I don't want to clean my house if I don't have to type thing. But even if that's why you want to start a side hustle or earn extra money, like you just want a cleaner or you want a dog walker or you want to buy the clothes, you want to buy extra clothes. Do you know what I mean? Like whatever
Yeah.
suits your soul, like it's just extra money. For me, I just think, imagine if you could build this over the next 6 to 12 months to the point where you could just go part-time and work. Or imagine if you could build it over the next 2 to 3 years to actually leave work
Yeah.
because I think if I had started with Michael or had a coach or something from the beginning, I don't think I would be working now. So there's definitely
Hmm.
huge negative to trying to teach yourself to not only dropship, but then to grow to a certain level where you do become more financially free or the money that you are earning becomes more impactful.
Hmm.
Um, I'm really fortunate, I've worked since I was 12 years old. Um, I've had to support my mum, my family and stuff through my teenagers and things like that. So I've always been like a grafter. But I think in the end, you don't have to work this hard. Like people, like you don't have to work that hard. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
the consistency has to always happen, and you have to keep learning and getting a little bit uncomfortable. What do they call it? It's called like optimal anxiety,
There's a
where
it's like a release point
it's
where I can't remember what it's called.
yeah. So
There's a
you
word for
can
it.
feel like really anxious to the point where you're like melt down, can't think properly. But if you get like a little bit like unnerved and a little bit anxious, you can actually perform really well and
Yeah.
become like the best version of yourself. And I feel like getting to know what that optimal anxiety is in regards to anything where I'm just applying this to dropshipping, like getting that little bit uncomfortable, pushing yourself in a direction that you're not sure about or that you think is a tiny little bit more risk or whatever. That is probably where you're going to reflect back and go, oh, I went the next level. Oh, I ended up earning more money and things like that. So, or maybe it's just getting started, right?
Hmm.
Like just that little, I want to do something like this, but I'm really confused. I don't really know what it is. But actually just reaching out to say, I'll reach to you, Michael, whoever, and just being like, what the hell is dropshipping? And be really like blunt about it and
Yeah.
aggressive. I kind of like that, it's authentic. Um, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
people are like, "What are you talking about?" And I'm like, I'm already looking into other avenues of how to earn money on like digital marketing with like master resale rights. I'm looking at starting a podcast. I'm looking at so many different things that will then create more passive and residual income, and that's all stemmed from
Yeah.
starting dropshipping.
Mm. Yeah. I mean, as you say,
Ask
like,
the question.
yeah, yeah. So good. I think you're dead
Yeah,
right that like it's useful. It's so useful as a learning tool, dropshipping, but it does let you
yeah,
know that there is a. It's like one of the first things I've ever done where it isn't like a job or something, and you can actually make money from it, and it's a real thing, and it
yeah,
actually happens, and people actually buy the stuff, and it does all go through. And once you kind of have that light bulb moment, all these other things become possible in your head. Podcast, all these other
yeah.
things, and
It's
that's
the
ninety
confidence,
percent of
isn't
the
it?
that's 90% of getting the way there is believing it's possible in some ways because you're putting energy
Yeah.
behind it. I guess we've touched on this, but I think it's probably quite good to delve into. Do you ever see drop shipping and e-commerce specifically becoming your full-time income, or or is that what you want, or do you expect to need to work on the side as well, or how is that going to work out, do you think?
Yeah, no, I absolutely see it as full-time income because this is the thing. I think I was touching on it before. Like when you look at eBay dropshipping, it's incredible. As I said, like the cost to run, even at like the bigger scale, is so cheap.
Mm,
It's more just like, do you grow it to that scale? And how does that, what emotions do you feel when you look at that kind of full-time money? Because to generate the full-time money, you're going to be doing, bigger sales, you're going to be running multiple stores, you're going to be using VAs to do customer service and things like that. And I don't necessarily think, like for me, this is absolutely going to get there. And I think I'm only another year away.
mm-hmm.
The changes that I've made in my business at the moment is actually only having eBay accounts up to 1,000 listings and keeping them personal, and then just repeating that.
Got you.
Whereas before, I actually had two stores, two business accounts, both with 10,000 listings, and loads of smaller stores, some on the middle subscription with eBay and some just personal.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, the beginning of this year, within 3 months, I got MT011 on both my big stores. So what actually happened then is it just becomes, from my perspective, unsustainable
Yeah.
because we don't have, as I mentioned at the beginning of this, we don't have full control over our eBay accounts, the websites, and selling platform. Now, that does not mean that you should not grow it to that scale, but good business practice is sustainability, not environmentally in this
Yeah.
case, but more like consistency. So this year, I've had 4 stores get MT011, okay? But I've also added, uh, well, now probably replaced those 4 stores over this year, if not more.
Mm.
Um, and now I have 10 stores, all at 1,000 listings, well, 8,000 listings, and 2 of them have just opened recently, literally like in the past few days this week. Um, and now it's about generating the sales from those stores, but without the risk, the huge risk of
Yeah.
any MC011 or even just Vero suspensions. So it's like you can have big store, and I had it this last summer, and I had massive store 30 day suspension. Now that store, obviously, from an eBay perspective, costs nearly £600 a month just for the subscription,
Mm.
and they ain't going to be refunding it. I luckily did get a refund, but even when me and Michael were chatting about it, it was like that's really lucky. Not only then have you got, your increased sale for subscription, the VAs, all these costs. I think that store costs like over £1,000 just to run it.
Mm.
So then when you get a 30-day subscription, it's like, oh, your expenses are way higher for that month. If you lose a store, so my kind of business like structure now, as I mentioned, is only personal stores with 1,000 products. Because if they're really good stores, I've got a current store which is doing 5.3K 30-day total on 1,000 listings. That's my best store at the moment.
Flipping
Yeah,
heck.
it's
Flipping
really
heck.
good, really good. And the entire business now is doing on average £1,000 in sales a day across all those stores. And I know peak season, and by the time the two smaller stores get to 1,000, because they're on about 50 and 200 products respectively at the moment, I know that I'll be able to be generating, 1,200 to 1,500 a day just from how the business already is,
Yeah.
plus probably another, as I said, 2,000 listings. So now it's like, okay, where's the other stores? Ask your friends and family, set them up yourself, even though that can be a little bit tricky. Make sure you get a new proxy, make sure you are still using a legit name, because my advice would be is eBay's really clocking down on confirming identity. So generate like a fake name with a different address and things like that. I don't know what the sustainability is of that store not getting like payments on hold and then you not being able to provide identification. So that's one of my other like golden nuggets at the moment. If you're looking to drop ship, like me, I've got my mum's store, my sister, my exes, my friends, my work, so it's all like separate, but all buy the accounts if you need to, invest the money like from people that and and that it's not a problem. They want to see you succeed. Just be surprised how many people want to see you succeed, even if maybe you don't talk to them that much. They just follow you on Instagram and things like that. It's really, if you involve them in the process, it's really interesting. But I would, that's what I would say. If you're not already in the dropshipping game at the moment, but you are wanting to grow to that bigger scale, that would be the way that I would do it now. Literally got an MC011 last week on one of my stores, and I've never been so non-emotional towards it. I think I was emotional for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Because I thought, you know what, we'll work to get the store back, we'll upload the invoices, we'll make sure all the tracking's updated. But if the store's gone, it's now not business critical. I think at my peak, I said £46,000 in sales is what I did in my biggest month. And now my business should do 30,000 from these 10 stores.
Right.
But the benefit is you don't have any eBay subscriptions. If an MC011 goes on one of the stores, it's only 10% of the business is impacted.
Yeah.
If I get a Vero, again, another 10%. So it's really, really smart, in my opinion, smart way to operate with eBay moment. So the goal now, I'm actually taking over 3 more stores next week, but I want 20 stores by the end of the year.
Okay.
So I want to double my stores by the end of the year.
I mean, I think I've heard Michael talking about
my head. Yeah, go on, sorry.
I've heard Michael talking about scaling sideways. He always talks about it.
Yeah.
And I think the comparison when we say like a full-time income, instantly I always think like 9-to-5 job. You can compare the amount of money you get from it, right? What a lot of people don't compare is, as you say, this is the consistency and sustainability. Like a 9-to-5 job is probably going to be paying you next month. Where if you just have one store, it's something to really focus on that you need to widen it out and make it as consistent.
Yeah, because this is the thing, right? So, I love talking numbers, let's say 30,000 in sales this month, blah, blah, blah. You're coming out with like minimum 1.5K profit, okay? From the way that I'm operating my business at the moment towards 2 grand, which is a full-time income for a lot of people, right? And at the moment, I do like 30 minutes a day, just checking stuff. So even when we're talking about like a full-time salary, I could live off that money if I wanted to. That for me personally isn't enough money. For me, 3 to 4K is where I would be happy with that amount of money.
Yeah.
And obviously then I do coaching as well, but none of these numbers include that. That's separate. But then work in hospitality. And this is the thing, even if I am earning more than that, I can still work because this doesn't take a crazy amount of time. And I say that to people as well. It's like, how many hours do you have to trade for 1,500 quid? And I know a lot of people that trade 30 hours a week for that. And I think for a whole month, mine must clock like 12 to 15 hours.
Right.
And they're doing like 120.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy. And again, I only say this to inspire people. My partner started dropshipping and we've been together several months. And that was when I obviously went like part-time and then freelance. And, he has a great job, well paid, can work remote. I mean, he was getting up in the morning and I was staying in bed. And then I was going to a PT session or meeting a friend for coffee and then coming back and having a nap on the sofa. Whatever. Again, glamorizing it a bit much, but it was like, okay, right, I'm getting into this because this is
Sign me up.
yeah, literally. And then yeah, what? He's been doing it 5 months now. Six, I think it's coming up to 6 months. And he, his 30-day total, I think it was 1,200 at the moment. He's got 4 stores, 4,000 listings. We did have five, but it got MC011. But actually, that store that we don't have listings on at the moment, we actually don't need it now because it's doing more sales than it was
Yeah.
a month ago anyway. But even from the cost of his business at the moment, we're talking like £600 to £800 a month from that. And like when obviously my partners come on board, they've just done everything I've said. And this is what I say, I love clients like that. So I'm treating him as a client 'cause it's still his business. I love that. But I'm like, I love that you've just ran with everything that I've said and it's proven, right? 6 months, we were generating over £600 a month in profit, bottom line. Again, VA is doing customer service, Salefreak is doing all the automation, using Zik for a bit of product research, like just compound now. So at first he was like, oh, I only want to keep it small, pay for my car, this, and this. Already we're talking about setting up a limited company next year and growing because now people get a taste, right?
I guess they
like,
don't. Oh. I mean, I didn't want even in the start. We don't want this like expectation or these things that are going to fall flat. We're like, okay, I'll just make like £50 a month, it'll be fine. And then you get there, and you're like, well, I can just carry on.
Yeah, it's mad. Like, why not? But obviously, I know everyone's got different dreams and stuff like that. But I think it's, the benefits of having a coach, and then also when you're ready to make that next step, using VAs or things like that, like creating all the Amazon accounts, if you want to use a gift card provider or whatever. But there's so many things that even now, after 3 years, I'm like, I still don't know everything. And I say to people, like, I could not be the best coach in the world, right? But I know from my previous experience how to make you thousands of pounds a month doing dropshipping. So if that's enough for you, cool. If it's not, cool also. Like in my biggest month, I did like over nearly 4.5 grand profit. And I was just like, what is happening? Like, it was crazy. And obviously I want to build back to that point now, and I'm building sideways as we've discussed. But everything that I'm doing, I say to people, like, it's not rocket, like you can literally do what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And people can be skeptical and go, yeah, but I bet you don't tell them everything. And I go, I do, because most people won't do it anyway. And I think that's a hard pill for people to swallow, because you can learn how to dropship there'll be someone on YouTube. Salefreak has got so many resources. You don't even need a coach.
Yeah.
You could literally get started if you sit and study, but people don't either believe in themselves or believe in the industry. And, that's why I'm so like, get something like Salefreaks, hire a coach like me and just get into it, because in a couple of months, you just don't know where you'll be. But why not aim for the full-time income if you know that you can get the full-time income, right?
When you first started, were you using a software? What were your expectations of dropshipping as a whole? How much did you believe it back then? And how fast did things change?
Okay, so when I first started dropshipping, I was using something called Lister, which is now called Delato, which is another dropshipping software. Now, not to shade Delato, but ever since using Salesforce, I'm like, wow, why would people use that system? Purely just because of lack of automation. So with Delato, it would still generate the listings for you, but you actually having to like upload a file to update your price and stock. Right. And for me, that just felt so. I had no clue, right? So I was like a house cat. I was like dropshipping, using this system, don't know what else is going on.
Yeah.
So the fact that I even had like several stores and then was also building up to 30,000 products still on what I call a manual system. I was like absolute carnage. Like, I don't know how I did it. But I think now I would just never go back to something like that, purely due to the automation that Salesforce provides. So generating the listings, even finding products for you as well, which is amazing. But then also placing the order, just everything that I can't think of anything that it doesn't do. And again, maybe I'm just being a bit of a house cat.
Yeah,
Like I don't even
maybe.
want to look at other systems. I love Michael and I love Sale Freaks. I love working with him. So at the beginning, yeah, use the software. And for me, big dreamer, as I said before. So like when I made my first sale, I was like, right, oh my God, what do I do? And this, using Dolato, you had to manually place orders
Right.
yourself on the Amazon account and place the order, make sure it's working. And I was like, oh my God, I think I'd made like 70p or something. It was hilarious. But for me, it was like, okay, now the compound effect comes in. Okay, what do I do if I just keep adding more product,
Yeah.
growing and opening stores? That 70p turns into
Hmm.
thousands of pounds.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't think I've ever thought small about anything really.
It's a
Really,
good way to
I feel
be.
like I've pushed myself to the limit. But I think everyone's got their own journey, and you shouldn't really compare. If when people are getting started, I set up clients using Sale Freaks, and I go, you don't know what I had to do to get here. And to start. No, because when I
Yeah,
met
yeah, it's so
Michael,
true.
I had what was it? Five, I think I had 7 stores or something, five or 7 stores, and 30,000 listings. And obviously, these systems weren't built to then migrate to Sale Freaks really easily.
Yeah.
So I ended up having to tear all of my business down and then back onto Sale Freaks and gradually build, right? And that took like 4 months
Yeah, yeah.
to
I
add
bet.
the products back. We didn't want to add aggressively. We didn't want to flag anything. But using the old system, the new one, transferring everything through, it ended up costing like 4 grand. And you know what, right? I was, especially at that point, I didn't have 4 grand to be
Yeah.
able to just be like throwing money away. But it was the best decision I ever made. And it's the best business decision I've ever made because now it's like, okay, I can't wait to get to 50 stores and
Yeah.
50,000 products. Like, why not? Do
Mm.
you know what I mean? Like, and then obviously generating the wealth to then start things like Amazon FBA, which again, there's always just a million different things out there to like diversify
Yeah,
not only
definitely.
dropshipping, but then into other avenues of e-commerce, which we know are more, let's say, reliable or heading that way. So, yeah, definitely really confident from the beginning. And I just think like as soon as you make your first sale, start making 10 sales, then make 100, and just
Yeah.
go from there. Yeah, absolutely. I realized when I stepped out of management that I wasn't kind of training, employing, recruiting, or
Mm.
like nurturing anyone, which is why I loved teaching. So that's what I did at university. And I was like, there's something missing. And now I know what it is. I actually need to teach people how to dropship, right? And if you had asked me when I was 18 on my way to university to become a primary school teacher, that by my 30th, I would be like, going freelance, trying to go freelance on my own with a company in dropshipping. I would have
Mm.
thought you were mad. So don't ever think like is dropshipping for me because to be honest, I say this about my coaching program. I say it's not really all about dropshipping. It's actually like a self-development program wrapped up in a dropshipping coaching
Yeah.
program. I feel like I work more up here in regards to like self-confidence and belief, business. Dropshipping is just the vehicle
Yeah.
to get you to think a certain type of way, to earn money in a certain type of way. So, like, I love that I've got numerous clients who just never, I've got drag queens, I've got recruiters, I've got everyone from every sort of background, I've got stay-at-home mums, got people who are already successful on over 100k salary
Mm.
who are like, I work too much. There's
Yeah.
always a reason why someone's coming to me, and I think it doesn't matter what you're doing at the moment, who you are, and what story you've told yourself, or your parents have told yourself, or the village that you're from. And like, if you think there's something like inside you that I just want to make a difference, and even if it's on a smaller scale to everyone else, just go for it
Mm.
because you've got really nothing to lose because the startup is so cheap, and you've got everything to gain. So that would be my closing statement.
Wonderful. That's amazing. Thank you so much.